workers, not using domestic workers, and having industries that don't employ a lot of people. If you ever executed Brexit, like I think the initial Nigel Farage vision was, you're going to be a robust country and you're going to have your sovereignty. The British are going to make decisions for the British people. You're not going to look to Brussels. You're not going to look to Davos. Good God, look what's happened in Ukraine. Do you want these people making decisions over your life? This is a very destructive.
Well, you and I don't agree about Ukraine, to put it mildly.
Oh, do we don't? What's going on, Piers Morgan? We're back with Piers Morgan Uncensored, the only show that you can find in the country that goes by uncensored but supports censorship. That won't be this conversation, but recently Piers Morgan came out and like, yay, had to be censored. Censor, yay. It's Piers Morgan Uncensored. Everyone tune in. Ugh. But he's done a really great podcast, having these panels that are virtual chaos, but you actually get some substance and ideas. Really cool. Hey, Piers, holla at your boy. I'd love to be on one. But here we have Steve Bannon, the War Room on YouTube. They banned him. They banned Bannon on YouTube. But let's get back to Steve Bannon, War Room on with Piers Morgan, and it is uncensored. Piers said that he doesn't agree with Steve Bannon on Ukraine. Well, he's about to get that heat.
I mean,
I know.
And I'm actually a genuine question. I don't want to get into the whole thing about
You're
Ukraine.
just wrong, but Piers, you're just wrong about Ukraine.
No,
unfortunately, I've been right. What?
I'm not.
Piers, you're 1,000% wrong on Ukraine.
I'm going to ask you one question. I'm fascinated by your answer.
I respect you, Piers, but on this one, you're just dead right. Well, so much you say is smart, and this one, you're just dead wrong.
Let me just put a picture to you, which is this. I remember Saddam Hussein invading Kuwait, right, in 91. And Kuwait wasn't a member of NATO. So America had no need to get involved if it didn't want to, but it did because it was in America's interest because of oil and whatever. And America, over about a month-long period, did a brilliant operation along with other allies to remove Saddam Hussein. Now, I'm at a loss to understand why that was universally supported by almost every American I've ever met in my life. They all go, yeah, absolutely. We kicked out Saddam. It was great, including, I would say, 100% of conservatives and Republicans. And there's been a bizarre shift in thinking. And I'm just genuinely curious, because you're one of the people, I think, who's been influential in this. Why is it that so many conservatives now view a Russian dictator invading a sovereign democratic European country, which, for better or worse, Ukraine now is, legally invading it and taking a third of the land so far, as he had taken Crimea before? Why is it that that doesn't instinctively bring out a rage in the American right, as Saddam invading Kuwait did?
Let's be clear, Piers, neither one brought out anything in me. Let's be clear. I don't care. Let's get back to the clip. If you don't care about what's going on with Russia and the sunflower country, give the channel a comment, stop by. We have the Discord link in the description as well. Let's get back to the clip.
And why don't you want to kick him out? I mean, it seems to me that there's almost a feeling
First off, we were sold a bill of goods. Kuwait wasn't about Kuwait. It was about Saudi Arabia and defending the monarchy. And we were sold a bill of goods on that. Okay, for what happened later at 9/11 was Saudi money. What happened is people started to wake up. Look, I spent 8 years as a naval officer, 4 years under destroyer, and a lot of that time in the North Arabian Sea and Persian Gulf because of the situation in Tehran at the time with the hostages. My daughter is a West Point grad that served and fought with the 101st Airborne in Iraq after she got so we have some skin in the game. Here's the point.
I mean, my brother was an army colonel who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, as was my brother-in-law. So I have skin in the game too.
I didn't say you didn't. I got that. But here's the point. Look at World War II. In World War II, good Lord, Montgomery, Patton, Eisenhower, those wars in Eurasia, that part of Eurasia is not in the vital national security interest of the United States. A fight of two Slavic entities over the Russian-speaking Donbass and Crimea is we just don't have a dog in that fight, okay? We can't be everywhere.
You do. It's called democracy. It's called safeguarding freedom and democracy wherever you see it attacked.
What are you talking about? Piers, did you not live through the first half of the 21st century to protecting democracy in Iraq and Afghanistan?
No, I
we
opposed.
fought.
Hang on. Hang on, Steve. I literally led the campaign in the UK media against the Iraq war, even though it was a Labour government, and the paper that I was the editor of was the Labour supporting paper. I literally went to war with my own Labour government at the time because I felt strongly that it was waged on a completely false premise, which it was. But there's no false premise with what's happening in Ukraine.
The false premise is exporting democracy everywhere.
Yeah,
whatever
I agree. I agree.
Whatever the two Slavic entities slugging out, and if the EU and NATO, because this is our point, NATO has become a protectorate of the United States, not an alliance. You guys can't put up two combat divisions because the 2%. You're supposed to go to GDP. You know, Italy's at 1.5. Only the UK and Poland does this, and quite frankly, it's going.
Actually, a lot more of them are now doing it because of Donald Trump. He bullied them into doing it, and quite rightly.
And I was the tip of that spear. I'd go into those meetings and say, "Guys, you got to put the 2%."
You were right.
And about the English. Well, here's the bottom line. The bottom line is, as I said on the eve of this war, just like Professor Mersheimer said, the West. Davos, Brussels, NATO, the city of London, and Washington, D.C., and New York City are going to lead the Ukrainian people down a primrose path to their destruction, and the West will fight till the last Ukrainian dies. And when it becomes uncomfortable for the West, as it's becoming uncomfortable now, they'll cut bait and say, hey, Bob's your uncle. And here we have, according to President Trump, and I'm giving his numbers he gives all the time, there's essentially 1 million dead or wounded Ukrainians. There's 750,000 dead or wounded Russians. Ukraine looks like Dresden in 1945. And Piers, here's the tragedy. Where it was about the Russian-speaking eastern province of Donbass and Crimea, now the Russian army, I don't know, as you said, controls a third of the country. And as you remember, Piers, the Russian army has a tendency not to back up where they have tanks. So now we're going to be in a horrible negotiation. It appears yesterday to the Associated Press, Zelensky just told the Associated Press, hey, of the $200 billion the Americans sent, I only got $77 billion. So I don't even know where the rest went. And this is one thing we said at the beginning. And they're going to come back and they're going to come back to you, England, and say, of the 200,000 man security force, England's got to put in 50,000 troops. We want 50,000 or 100,000 from the Americans, and NATO will put the rest. And that's just going to be a non-starter here. This thing's been a debacle.
I'll tell you what, here's what I think. I actually just literally interviewed President Zelensky today before I interviewed you.
Yeah, we did a react to that as well. That's Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon in November of 2020, his YouTube channel was terminated. How much bigger would he be? He got locked up in federal prison as well for nothing. It was the Unselect, the J6 committee, and they didn't have the power to go after Bannon. Bannon could have went in and pled the fifth, but he said, out of principle, I'm not. And they locked him up for a good little bit. I don't know, what was it, 12 months or something? It was a good little bit. But they took away his channel in 2020, YouTube did, because he called for the, let's just say, the removal of the region above the neck for Mr. Ouchie. And I forgot. I remember the Ouchie one. I don't remember the director Christopher Wray one. There was both of them. And they said they violated YouTube's policies against inciting bad things. It was a part of a move by the social media platforms to curb content that promotes bad things. As of February 2025, his YouTube channel has remained banned. Why is that, YouTube? Why is he banned in the first place? He didn't break any laws. Help me understand that. Maybe it's because you don't want that heat from him like that.
The next clip is ready below. Welcome to After Show Carnage.